Test, test. There we go. All right, we're going to get started in 60 seconds. So if council members can take their seat, please. Julian, did we get a report from you? Did we get slides? Dorothy's clear? Okay. So 60 seconds. No, Chris. Good evening, council members and community members. I'm calling the September 17th meeting of the Altadena Town Council to order. The time is 7:03, so hopefully we will be out of here by 9. Tonight, I would like to open this meeting in memory of Sheriff's Deputy Klinkenbrummer from the Palmdale Station. Yesterday, September 16th, marked the 1-year anniversary of the ambush-style attack while he was sitting in his patrol car that claimed his life. The Altadena Sheriff's Station remembered him this way, quote, "Klink was always one to lend a helping hand, humble enough to stop by and chat, and always check in while manning a station at Supermax." Please join me in a moment of silence as we hold his loved ones and fellow deputies in comforting thought. Thank you so much. In honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm going to turn over to the Education Committee Chair, Vega, to introduce the pledge.
Good evening. Fernanda Morales, president of Latino Club at Marshall Elementary Secondary School, is currently in her senior year and has been an active member since the 9th grade. She's been part of the cabinet for the last 3 years. Latino Club visited the Long Beach Museum of Latin American Art in March, and in May also went to the Broad Museum and Olvera Street for the Cinco de Mayo festivities. Members of the club were given the opportunity to experience the Latino culture through stories, paintings, artwork, enjoying food, and even shopping. This year, Latino Club is restarting with hopes of participating in the Pasadena Latino Heritage Parade on October 5th. The club is looking forward to continuing sharing the Latino culture in the school's multicultural affairs, as well as decorating the hallway in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. Fernanda.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
And thank you so much for coming on such short notice. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, roll call. Councilmember Sutherlen.
Thank you. Listen closely, council members, for your name and respond as needed. Connor Chipola.
Present.
Victoria Knapp.
Present.
Nick Arnzen.
Present.
Kim Yu.
Present.
Melissa Morona.
Here.
Dorothy Wong.
Here.
John Carmody is excused. Chris O'Malley.
Aquí.
Isis Moulton.
Present.
Javina Hall.
Present.
Stuart Gordon, sorry, Vi.
Present.
Pat Sutherlen is here. Reggie Wilkins is coming, I think. Oh, he is he? Okay. Doug Cauliflower.
Here.
Diane Markison. Here. Sylvia Vega.
Here.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Let's move forward and approve the meeting agenda. Vice Chair Arnzen.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, fellow council and community members. There are agendas at the back of the room on the table, as well as public comment cards. The council welcomes public input from the community on both agendized and non-agendized items. If you would like to make comment, please fill out the card and give it to a council member on either side of the tables. Additionally, I'd like to recommend everyone in the room, remind them to please silence your cell phones and other noise-making devices. As the council does not respond to public comment during the meeting, if you would like a response, please include your contact information at the bottom of the card. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes. These guidelines are in place to ensure that everyone wishing to make public comment has the time to do so and that we can conduct this meeting in an orderly fashion. Council members, the Altadena Town Council Executive Committee met on Monday, September 9th to set the agenda for tonight's meeting. The agenda was circulated to you on Friday, September 13th. I have the following changes not noted on the agenda, and Fernanda has taken off. I don't have Fernanda's name, but Fernanda obviously did the flag salute. Also, to item 6, committee reports, please turn your attention there and add 6.6 WSGVAP. WSGVAP, that's the West San Gabriel Valley Action Plan report by Councilmember Morona. Are there any additional changes tonight?
I have a change. For the Education Committee report, Isis Molden will be presenting that report.
Duly noted. Thank you, Councilmember Vega.
And before you call for a vote, is James Aragon from PCC here? He is not here, so we can remove item 4.4.
Chair, if I might recommend, I agree it'd be nice to remove it, but perhaps we hold on to it just in case he shows up later.
I'll defer, but he's not going to show up. Okay.
Okay. For now, we'll keep it on the agenda. All right. I will not include that change, but with the other 3 changes, are there any more?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Census tract report, 4603.01.
8.3, we will add 4603.01 census tract report. That's in 8 census tract reports. Any others? I move that we accept the agenda with said changes.
Second.
All in favor? Anybody abstaining or opposing? None. Great. All right, we've got the agenda for tonight's meeting. I am going to essentially yield my time tonight because we have a packed agenda. We have a lot of things to get through, and we want to give everyone that's here assembled to give presentations ample time to do so. I did want to acknowledge, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, our Hispanic council members, Vega and O'Malley. Yay, clap it up, clap it up. There we go. All right. All right, and I will turn it over to Vice Chair Arnzen.
Thank you. O'Malley. Okay. I know it's in there. I will yield my report as well in the interest of time.
Great, both yielding our time. We will move on to our recording secretary, Pat Sutherlen, with the minutes.
Okay. Council members, over the weekend you received the minutes from the August, thank you very much, 20th meeting. Are there any? I received a couple of small items which don't have any. It doesn't really matter, but they clarified a couple of things. Otherwise, I didn't receive any other changes or corrections. Any that you've thought of since then? In that case, I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Do we have any abstentions who were not here last month?
should have
We've got
3.
Kim Yu and Sylvia Vega and Vi.
And Vi, yes.
Great, all have
3.
abstained. Great, thank you so much. Moving on to our treasurer's report, Chris O'Malley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an easy one this year, this month, starting with the period of July, is that July? August. It's been a long month. Starting in August 1st and ending on August 31st of this month, we had $1,429.86 in the bank. There were no transactions at all. I still need to get down there. Don't judge me. And we ended with $1,429.86 in the bank. That's my report. As always, I would like to remind everybody that the Altadena Town Council is a volunteer organization that does not have a budget. We do not collect taxes. We don't get paid. Everything that we do is funded by the generous donations of the wonderful, beautiful, marvelous, incredible residents of Altadena, maybe the best town in the United States of America. So if you could find your way, Diane here, what an example. What an example.
We put in our own.
And we do. We pay to be here. It's quite a privilege. So if you wouldn't mind, if you got a quarter or a nickel, or if you could spare a dime, and then Connor here on the end will take the can, and hopefully he won't dip into it for his.
Looking out into the audience, I definitely see some $20 contributors. Okay, moving on. Corresponding Secretary Dorothy Wong.
Thank you, Chair. So we have some amazing, if we looked around before the meeting, we actually have a slideshow now of all the different events, thanks to Isis and her great technical work, and Nick and everybody. So just a couple of highlights, since Parks isn't making a presentation. We do have 2 more annual meetings of LA County Parks, so mark your calendar. Let's see. The 25th is Eaton Canyon. I'm so used to using my touch screen. And then Loma Alta Park is the 26th. So the 25th of this month, is it at 7? 7 o'clock. And then the 26th is Loma Alta Park at 7 o'clock. So if you haven't gone to the annual meeting, I would encourage all council members to go, and community members. And then on the website, we did have, and thankfully it's looking better, we'll hear it in our fire report, but we had a lot of fires going on, and a lot of information had to get out. So on the website, I had been posting as different Ready LA County is kind of our emergency link that we can go to, readylacounty.gov. But on there were daily reports from all of the agencies. So I was updating the bridge fire updates as they came along. Now there's a lovely YouTube channel that's actually covering their town halls, so you can find out about that. And then Mark Mariscal drove past me the other day, and he said, make sure you mention, and I'm sure you're going to hear it, but the Altadena Grocery Outlet is proud to host the semi-annual pancake breakfast benefiting Altadena Mountain Rescue. That'll be October the 5th, Saturday. So now he won't get mad at me. And 2 other things we all received from the California Department of Food and Agriculture, the proclamation of emergency program for Asian citrus, psyllid, and Kim can probably say it better, psyllid and huangla, blah, blah. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. Huangla longbing, something like that. Embarrass myself as a half Chinese woman here. But anyway, so Altadena has been noticed in that, and so there will be some work being done. We're on a map. So if you guys looked at it, we're section DF68 and DF69 in these quarantine boundaries. So anyway, that just came out to all our emails, so make sure you check that. And then I got an email from the Forest Service Fire, Seneca Smith, reminding us that our fire danger has increased to extreme in the Angeles National Forest, including the San Gabriel Mountains. So I'll post that on the website. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we are moving into the meat of our agenda. I wanted to say that we are making a very special welcome, and we are extremely honored to have Sheriff Luna join us here tonight. Sheriff Luna was elected in 2022. He previously served as chief of Long Beach Police Department and capped off a 36-year career there. We are so honored to have him here, and I would love to extend to him a warm welcome.
Thank you. I really appreciate the very warm welcome. Every time I come to Altadena, it's Christmas tree lighting, festive, everybody's so friendly. And then I was mentioning to somebody that the last time I was here is for one of the concerts in the park, Salsa Night, where you couldn't find any room on the dance floor. So, including Captain Williams, who was out there cutting the floor. So, and he's got some moves if you've never seen him dance. Several thank yous. One, to all of you for serving in this capacity. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can probably be doing, but you chose to be here and make this community better. So we really appreciate that. You started off the evening with a moment of silence for Ryan Klinkenbrummer. Yesterday was a one-year anniversary. I think I was invited to join you last year about this time, and unfortunately, I was up in Palmdale as a result of that tragedy. But we stand with him. He's a hero, and his family, and his work family as well. And then before I go into my comments, the sheriff, deputies, and our professional staff members that are here that serve this community, I wanted to thank them. From the captain on down, they are amazing. They do so much, and they're so committed to this community. So I want to thank each and every one of you in uniform, which includes our partners at CHP and the fire department. They're going to get up here and talk as well. What I'm going to do is give you a very high-level overview of just some numbers and things that we track. And then I'll try and cut down the comments because I really want to stand up here and take questions from all of you. I'm sure you'll have questions or concerns. So I start off with part one crime, and when I give you these numbers, it's throughout the county. Captain Williams will give you what's specific to our community here. But overall, I'm happy to report that part one crime up until about a week ago is down. It's down 0.06%. All right. I wish I can report that it was down even more than that. But I want to make a quick comment about crime, and I want to give all the props to our employees. We were looking at the end of last year, heading into this year, what was probably going to be a significant part one increase. Part one's divided into violent crime and property crime. So what I was doing is I was really focused on what was driving that part one crime, which was auto theft. So when I first became sheriff, I challenged our department, and I wanted to know what our crime strategy was. They were doing a good job, but it wasn't where it should be. So we raised the bar, and we started a crime strategy unit. And this crime strategy unit works throughout the department, cuts out silos, and the bottom line is they really focus on data. What's driving certain crimes? Auto theft was up almost 18% when they started. For the first time in the time I've been with our department, they reduced that now to -1%. That is driving what I'm telling you the numbers are, because if it wasn't for that, we would be in a significant plus. Now, each community struggles a little bit differently, so we really challenge our station captains to understand their data, and then they're expected to have significant responses to how to address that, which includes working in partnership with our community. That is very, very important. Along with this, our calls for service, just to give you kind of an average of what our department does. On a monthly basis, we average handling nearly 84,000 calls for service countywide. We also average about 85,000 what we call observations or stops. The deputies out there proactively addressing your concerns as a community, our concerns, whether it be crime, quality of life challenges, whatever that may be. So that keeps them busy. And then when I talk about arrest, I'm not singularly focused on arrest, although that's part of what we do. I think there's a way to be successful with doing different things, but we did average about 5,155 arrests during that time period. And then something that's alarming is we've recovered about 1,200 guns in that same month. Guns, we have a big problem with guns in this county. People who utilize them. They utilize them against victims, they utilize them against our deputies, and that is very important. So any chance I get, I do talk about the issue or the challenge of guns. One of my primary missions in coming into our department is to make sure that our men and women are staffed properly, equipped properly, they have the proper technology, that they're managed right, that they have the right training. And one thing that became very apparent to me when I joined our department, and when I talk about the good work our people do, right now we are short 1,368 deputies across our department. We are short approximately 1,500 professional staff members. So we're down with, when you look at our impairments, about 22%. So what I say is 78% of our people are doing 100% of the work. I don't stand up before you making excuses, pointing the fingers at anybody. That's what I inherited. So I'm working through that. I'm happy to report that I have a very good relationship with all of our 5 supervisors. They're all unique in their own way, so am I. Don't always agree on everything, but they have supported us from the minute I walked in and hiring 8 to 10 classes, which we try and fill with 100 recruits per class. But when we talk about recruitment, and by the way, if anybody is interested in becoming a sheriff, a deputy sheriff, we're hiring. If you're interested in working for the sheriff's department, we're hiring. So if you have family members that have ever wanted to do this, yesterday I was working late. We stopped at an In-N-Out. I think I got this young man who was working the French fries, and he's going to apply to be a deputy sheriff. I tell everybody our best recruiters are us. So we go out there and we're working it, and you go to In-N-Out, there's some really good kids that work there. So In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, I'll hit all these places, and as you can tell, but so we're doing good there. But as we progress forward with staffing, I'm also focused on retention, so I am working with our supervisors really hard and really ringing the bell and talking about the fact that I'm pushing for our employees to be compensated and be competitive with all the agencies around us, so we're able to retain them as well, because we lose them to other agencies. I've got agencies offering $25,000 bonuses, $40,000 bonuses. The city of Torrance is offering a $100,000 bonus if you move over to their department. It's very challenging to compete with that. My thing to my employees is, please don't leave. We offer so many things at our department. It's a great place to work. So we'll continue to work that angle. Building relationships. I talked about the relationship that I'm proud to have with our supervisors. But there are so many relationships to rebuild within our community, our board, other government agencies, other county partners that we work with every day. You talked about the fires. Yes, we have an amazing relationship with the LA County Fire Department and Chief Maroney. Personally, I do. But any department we talk about in the county, just amazing employees that are really committed to everything that they do. Part of me, again, coming in is not only looking at our staffing, but our training. How do we evolve? Because when you hear about really bad things happening within our department, as I really do an autopsy on some of these challenges, it normally goes back to the lack of training. So I'm really trying to figure out, and I met with the state attorney general today and really saying, hey, I need your help. I need your help to improve our technology. I need your help to improve our training so we can become better. we can become better at serving each and every one of you. So we're definitely moving forward with that. Just to touch on, as you know, with the Sheriff's Department, we are in charge of custody operations for the County of Los Angeles. We have the largest county jail system in the United States at 7 custody facilities. And when I looked at my daily average inmate population, which I look at normally once a week, looked at it this morning, it was at 12,788. I want to tell you that when I first sat in my seat, it was averaging about 14,500. So we've been able to depopulate some of our inmate population, making sure that the right people are staying in and the people who we could take a little bit more of a risk on are getting out. So we're able to decrease the population by about 12.5%, 13%. It actually went up the last several weeks because we had a ransomware attack with the Superior Court of Los Angeles County. And for some reason, between the court system, the district attorney's office, and us, it's a little bit off kilter, but we're working towards that. Now, I want to mention something really quick that has been asked of me a lot, and I will never stand up here and advocate for any political position, or at least I try not to. But I've been asked a lot about Proposition 36. And I will not try and influence you one way or another. But as I look at it, there are a lot of people I encounter that are talking about the pillars of accountability that are included in this to make sure that people who are repeat offenders of theft, people who are involved in the sales of fentanyl and are involved with firearms, that they do a little bit more time. But this is where I ask each and every one of you or our residents to really read the fine print on all of these proposals or propositions, because for me, standing here as your sheriff, although I'm all about accountability when it comes to crime, specifically repeat offenders, the other half of this is when I ask our subject matter experts in custody, what would you estimate our inmate population to grow if this passes? And they're telling me within the first 6 to 9 months, it may grow 3,000. So right now, as I stand in front of you, I don't have the facilities, the staffing, nor the money to deal with that increase in population if it occurs. So this is why you will hear me publicly speak more about, because you hear the Board of Supervisors consistently asking about the closure of Men's Central Jail, which holds about 4,000 inmates. And I can't just release 4,000 inmates. So what I'm doing is, and this is just a kind of a quick summary, is 42% of our inmate population is deemed to be mentally ill. We are the largest mental health institution in the United States by default. They're not there because they're mentally ill. They're there because they committed a crime and just happen to be mentally ill. So when I look at our custody facilities, and I had to do my regular 3-month tour today of 3 of them, I look at facilities that were built in the 50s and were not made for what we consider today 21st century thinking in the way we're supposed to handle people who are mentally ill or addicted, or even in jail just for committing crimes. So I'm talking about this concept of a care campus that not only the LA County sheriffs would be involved in managing, but we would manage with other county partners, the Department of Health, the Department of Mental Health, getting people addiction services, getting people the right help that they need. Because at the end, I feel it's my responsibility that when we take somebody into custody, that we have an obligation to put them out a little bit better than when they came in. And I think we could do that. And we could be leaders in this country and looking at incarceration just a little bit different. So you'll hear me talk a lot more in detail about that, as time goes on, because it's very important to our entire county, because you never know who ends up in there. And that becomes very, very important. So there's so many other things that I can talk about, but I'm going to take a pause right there. And I'm sure you guys have questions for me if you're so inclined, because I know there's other speakers who are so anxious to get up here and speak to you.
Thank you so much for all of that information. Vi, did you want to ask your question directly, or did you want me to ask it for you? Okay. I had solicited from the council members if they had any direct questions for you, since you were going to be here tonight. The first question was, do you have any update on the Office of Inspector General's report entitled Reform and Oversight Efforts, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department from April to June 2024?
Yeah, I could give you a high-level highlight, and then we can talk separately if you would like. Please know that the first day in office, I put out basically an internal memo to all of my employees that they shall cooperate with the Inspector General, trying to keep the relationship that we need to have to make sure that people felt confident in a lot of the challenges that we had as a department. So we've been working hand in hand with them, whether we're talking about our use of force policy, which, by the way, we just got through a very extensive meet and confer process with our labor unions, and we got it signed. We're in the process of implementing the new use of force policy. It's going to take a little bit because we really need to focus on the training portion of it, but that was pending before I got here for about 8 years. So we were able to do that. There's some other policies that actually I was on the phone on the way here, and will be on the phone on the way out of here, trying to get something done so we can put some more information out. The bottom line is we have been doing a lot of work to try and progress forward in a lot of the challenges we have, either if we're dealing with our custody issues. And by the way, for those of you who do not know this, we have a combination of either 5 settlement agreements or consent decrees throughout our department. 4 of those are in custody. And I'm happy to report that even for us, in our Antelope Valley settlement agreement, when I first got here, the federal monitors who worked for US DOJ were not happy with our department. And the things they were telling me that were going to happen to me, I'm just like, man, I just barely got here right now. It's like, no, your name's on this piece of paper, this is on you. And through some very hard work, going back to DC, meeting with DOJ, telling them that we're going to follow the rules, we're going to comply with all these different items that they are making us do. Last week, I had the first positive meeting with the federal monitors that said, man, in 9 years, we haven't seen this much progress. Your team is doing a great job, and they gave me a whole list of examples. So I'm really proud of our men and women. They're really stepping up to the plate. And there's so much detail in that report, but there is a lot of progress being made. And then I'll stand up here and tell you, there's a lot of work we still need to do. So we're moving forward. And in some we agree, and then in some others we disagree. But I'll leave you with this thought. When you read these reports, please pay attention to the dates when the incidences occurred. Because a lot of the reports you read are talking about historical stuff, which I don't ignore, but they're not giving us credit for all the reforms that we're currently doing. And I think that's a shame. So that's a dispute that I have with some of our processes, and that's okay. And the same goes for our Civilian Oversight Commission. I'm scheduled to testify before them this coming Thursday. I have been there. I haven't made every meeting just because from a scheduling perspective, but I'd like to think, and you can ask them, that we have a much better relationship, specifically when they're making requests. And we're doing better. For example, I think they've asked us last year for 78 things, and we complied with 76 out of the 78. The others we couldn't comply with because our technology is so bad, we couldn't come up with the data. So I hope that answers your question.
I would say that any relationship is a much improved relationship from the non-existent relationship prior to you coming with the Oversight Commission. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
As you answered that question, you actually answered the other questions we had as it related to the Civilian Oversight Commission, training and de-escalation training, where use of force is considered. I would ask the last question then is in what ways can citizens of Altadena best support our Altadena Sheriff's deputies in terms of what they're doing day in and day out?
It starts off with simple things like every time you see somebody in uniform, say thank you. Thank you for your service. I cannot tell you how much that means to somebody who serves in uniform of any kind. Unfortunately, a lot of our deputies, police officers, are very young, and they pay a whole lot of attention to social media. And many times what you see on social media, who influences everybody, there's a lot of negativity out there. But I do like to remind them, and this is where your support comes in, that I believe conservatively 80% of our residents not only respect and appreciate them, but really love what they do. But you are the silent majority usually. It is the people that we encounter who are very loud, who are very derogatory to our deputy sheriffs. And just to kind of close this out, recently I was asked by a group of legislators, what could we do to help your department? And I talked about the staffing crisis we have. And I asked for a favor, and I'll ask all of you as community leaders. Once in a while, you will have something negative happen. You'll see on video. Please do not judge the video so quickly, although some of them aren't good, and some of them we may have done something wrong. But the minute somebody says something about policing in general, that impacts everybody who wears that uniform. It impacts their family, their kids at school. That's one of the negative things that's impacting our recruiting right now, because we have a marketing firm that's looking at why people aren't signing up anymore. And one of the biggest factors is when they hear our elected officials or people in a position of influence talk negatively about the police. So to me, that is the biggest thing. You hear that, you see that, please don't participate in it, but stop others from doing it. That helps a lot. And I got to tell you, the deputies I talk to up here love all of you. They say this is a great community. They're attracted to this community. They want to work here because of the support that all of you give them as leaders. So thank you for that.
I do want to acknowledge the deputies that are in the back, so thank you so much for coming out tonight. Thank you for your service to this community. We appreciate your dedication, and we certainly appreciate having you here tonight. And to you, Sheriff, it is wonderful to have you come out here. We appreciate you and your role and all you're doing to improve things with the Sheriff's Department. LA County is a big beast. And your position is one of extreme power and influence, so we appreciate you coming here tonight. We have a little parting gift for you, so you will remember us until you come back and dance at our next concert. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good night. Thank you.
And not to be outdone, let's bring Captain Williams up here to give us the nitty-gritty.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. So just real fast. I'm sorry? Oh no. Just real fast, crime stats. Our aggravated assaults, the violent crimes, they're actually down in Altadena 19% as of to date. Most of those crimes, they're about 50-50. Just regular assaults. The other half are domestic violence. So we're still going to work on that, but I'm happy to say that it is down 19%. And then our property crime, which has always been a problem for us, is down 7%. I know our residential burgs, we had issues with it in the beginning of the year. They spiked, and I'm happy to announce that due to some of the neighborhood watch groups that we formed, some of the crime strategies that we put in place, we're saying it's trending down. So for example, in January to April, we were averaging around 12 residential burglaries a month. May through August, now we're averaging about 6. So there's still work to do. However, we're happy to announce that it is trending down. Our GTAs for the month of June and May and June, I kind of talked about it a few months ago, they spiked tremendously. I think they were up around 78%. We're happy to say that those are trending down also. We're going to stay on that. That is the flavor of the month. We're putting the crime strategies, the same ones we used to have the residential burglaries go down, and we're going to implement that for auto thefts. An arrest I'd like to talk about. Last week, our Narcotics Bureau, they served a search warrant at a residence and seized a lot of guns and narcotics. We're talking 11 guns were seized, a lot of PCP, cocaine, methamphetamine, and ecstasy pills. This resident was hidden in plain sight. Our Narcotics Bureau, they did a great job investigating and locating this resident, and we're happy to say that a significant arrest and seizure of contraband was conducted. So, now on to the events we have coming up. First of all, the first one we have is tomorrow, actually. It's going to be at Pizza Venice. It's a fundraising event for the station. The deputies will be there throughout the day, starting from 12 all the way till 8. Any of the pizza that's bought or food that's bought, portions of it will help with the station's funds. So please come out and get some good pizza from Pizza Venice. That's on 2545 Fair Oaks. The next event we have coming is our community conversation. So we're partnering with the Mountain View Cemetery, and we're going to have a town hall meeting. That's going to be September 26th between 5 and 7. It's going to be in the mausoleum at 2300 North Marengo Avenue. And if you haven't been in the mausoleum, it's very beautiful. We're partnering with Mr. Brown, Keith Brown. He is interested in becoming more involved in helping the community. This was his suggestion. Let's have a town hall meeting at the mausoleum. I was like, wow, you sure you want to do that? He says, yes, come check it out. And when I checked it out, I was like, oh my God, they're going to be in awe when they come in here. So please come. We're going to talk about issues throughout Altadena. We're going to be there to answer questions, any questions you have, and we'll stay there until all questions are answered. So again, that's going to be Thursday, September 26th, between 5 and 7 at the Mountain View Mausoleum. And the last event I'd like to talk about is we're going to have, you know how we have coffee with the deputy, pizza with the deputy. This is going to be acai. I always say that word wrong. Acai. Such a small word, so difficult for me to say. We're going to have that with the deputies. You know, that's going to be October 9th. October 9th between 12 and 2. So please come by. I'll be there.
Where? Where?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's going to be at the Acai Bar. The address is Acai, yes.
You got it.
1351 North Hill Avenue. That's in Pasadena. We'll be there. We'll be talking, have a nice conversation, eat a nice dessert or whatever you like, and looking forward to that. You know, that's all I have for this evening. If any questions.
Do we have any questions for Captain? I see one over here. Go ahead, Councilmember Morona.
I have a question about the accident that occurred yesterday on Lincoln and Altadena Drive where a car and a larger truck collided. Do you know anything about that? And are trucks of that size allowed in that type of intersection?
CHP might be better at that, but
Probably, sorry, didn't know.
that's okay.
No, that's okay.
Were you there?
I heard about the accident. We had our deputies respond, but CHP may be best on the
Gotcha. Thank you for your service.
Sure, no problem.
And I just wanted to express the gratitude of the principals. I was in contact with two myself. I know that Councilmember Markison was in contact with a couple herself as it relates to the situation with the cameras in the bathrooms of the staff lounge. And they were very appreciative, and they all conducted their own sweeps of their bathrooms.
That's awesome.
And so they would like any further information as it becomes available and releasable for us to report back to them so that they can stay vigilant, especially those that are having a lot of contractors on premise that are not usually teachers that are at the school.
Yes, we have one of our best detectives on that. He's giving me daily updates. When we get more information that we can disseminate, we'll certainly do that. But the investigation is ongoing, but it is on its way. So
Great. Okay.
there was some question about whether or not we were investigating. We most certainly are.
Great. Any other questions? Go ahead, Dot.
Hello, Captain. So just wanted to thank the deputies that were going up and down Cheney Trail during sort of the stress of the fire and
Right.
people going up and enjoying the mountains at the same time.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we had 2 rescues from a mountain biker and somebody else at Millard Canyon. So hopefully we can have some deeper conversations with County Public Works and Forest Service and the great sheriffs to come up with a good solution on when to close during red flag, very high fire, and now extreme fire. Let's keep on talking, but thank you. I did see the deputies up there and then doing their best to close the gate on the regular basis.
Yes, so Cheney Trail, that's been one of those issues. Those are one of the places that we do our directed patrols, and we're going to continue that. We're just trying to stay more consistent with it. You know, becomes an issue, it becomes a hazard because people illegally park, and it's hard to get down that way. And we'll continue to work on that. So, also with the gate, we'll stay more consistent with that too.
The gate.
Yeah,
The
the
gate.
gate, yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Captain before we let him go? Thank you very much for extending the invitation to Sheriff Luna on our behalf and for getting him here. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I saw Officer Keller, who's sitting quietly, waiting his turn, thank you, from California Highway Patrol.
Hello and good evening, Altadena
You
Council
might have to
members.
move that up a little. There you go.
Good
Is
evening.
is that your little mini keyboard that you're carrying around
It
with
is.
you?
It's my cool little tablet. It does all kinds of things. And it helps me look up crashes that you guys have questions on. Although I'm not seeing any info on it, it is reported in here, but there's no info. But if you reach out to me at a later date, I'll be more than happy to let you know what I know. Traffic stats for the month of August. Traffic collisions increased. There were a total of 21 reported collisions. 5 of them were hit and run crashes. 1 was investigated for a DUI. There were a total of 11 parties injured. In August, there were 2 bicycle collisions. 1 was a e-bike, 1 was a regular pedal bike. There was a collision involving a party on a scooter, and there was 1 medical emergency. As school has resumed session in August, we have been receiving a plethora of traffic complaints that we are trying to address as quickly and smoothly as possible. You'll see myself and Officer Bay, as well as our other officers inundating the areas, enforcing and educating as best as we can. Please take this as a reminder, parents, stay off your cell phones. That's one of the major issues causing the backup of traffic, as well as collisions, and delaying your child to get into school on time and safely. We are working on creating an informational pamphlet. It's become topic of discussion regarding e-bikes, their uses, who's allowed to ride them, where they're allowed to ride them, what they need to ride them. In this day and age, manufacturers are making bikes that are way outside the scope of what is allowed. Legislation is a little bit behind and trying to catch up, so we are doing our best to make it safe for everybody. We are impounding, taking e-bikes from kids that shouldn't be having them and using them in an inappropriate way. So I'll let you know when that's made, and I'll distribute to them to you as soon as possible. You may have noticed we have been deploying our radar trailers in unincorporated Altadena. That's in efforts to reduce speed in residential areas. So typically we'll deploy them, have them there for a few days or a week or so, and then we will go out and do enforcement. We're trying to give people a heads up, slow down, and when we go out there and we scratch some citations, that really means slow down. So we're trying to slow down traffic in and around the communities. Please continue to email me your concerns, and specifics help me out a whole lot where I can focus on certain areas rather than just traveling up and down Altadena Drive. Other than that, that's all I have for tonight. Are there any questions from council?
Questions?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Officer Keller, I just want to pass on a resident's concern between Roosevelt Canyon Close around the Anagar Flats trailhead, about speeding with the ongoing construction and being out of hand. So if there could give some focus and spotlight there.
Yeah, please send me an email.
I'll follow up.
I forget really
I'll
fast.
follow up, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
I mentioned this to you earlier, but I just want to say it for the record. I wanted to give props to Officer Cortez. As I mentioned last month, that was in an accident and traveling east on Sacramento, and a truck ran to stop. They were on their phone. And I was really surprised, Maria would probably attest to this, that the paramedic had shared with me how few people wear their safety belts. And I was grateful for the safety belt, I was grateful for the airbags, but Officer Cortez was wonderful, and I heard from the neighbors that the officers who investigated the accident were there and very, very thorough and were there a while. So thank you.
Thank you for that information.
Go ahead.
And we're glad you're all right, Sylvia. Two things to be specific. I still get complaints of cars blowing through the stop sign at Cannon and Loma Alta. And just at an event right before this, there was discussion of people still getting used to the stop sign at Santa Anita and Mariposa and pretty consistently blowing through that. If you're looking for any places to keep an eye on.
Most certainly.
Thank you.
I think that what we ought to do after this meeting is compile a fresh list of some things. There's particular concern about Santa Rosa, especially with the intersections where there's no stop on Santa Rosa, but they're stopped on the through street and they're not stopping. And so there were 2 days in a row where in my coming home northbound on Santa Rosa, I think it was at Mendocino and at maybe Alameda, where they just literally just drove through it like there was nothing there. And I just happened to be far enough away that I could slow before I got hit. So we tend to not do enforcement there really because of the slope and now we have the lights going up for Christmas tree, for the Christmas tree lane celebration. But I think maybe that's one thing we should look at. So we'll collect some data and send it off to you.
Yes, and we're still working on trying to get surveys performed on certain locations so that we can enforce.
Go ahead, Councilmember Wong.
And then just a reminder, October is going to be Walk and Roll to School days now. So there's 10 schools this year, and there'll be multiple dates, October 2nd. I think there's 2 dates in between, and then it's ranging from October 2nd to October 15th.
Yes, please.
We'll keep you all up to date.
Keep me in the email blast. Myself and Officer Phillips and Officer Bay would love to attend. Love going to those.
Okay, that is it for you tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Stay safe out there.
Thank you. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you. Okay, now we are moving to LA County Fire, Maria Grycan. Is that Chief? I see. Give me the right title because I say it wrong every time.
Assistant Fire Chief.
Fire Chief Sprangle.
Yes. And I'm going to give you the report for August, and I have just one little announcement based on emails that I received in the past couple of weeks. And then Chief Sprangle is going to give you an update on the bridge fire. I'm going to touch on the bridge fire, but he'll give you the update. For the month of August, a total of 396 responses. 297 of those were medical calls. 253 people transported from those calls. There were 8 traffic collisions that we responded to, and we matched with CHP this month, one versus a bicycle and one versus an electric scooter. So sometimes they're different, but this month we matched. We had one fire reported on August 13th on Sonoma Drive, and it was a trash fire. And that is it for the stats. Well, we had 7 service calls, 4 hazardous conditions, which are the power lines, or arcing wires, and then 87 good intent calls. I did get some emails from community members and from the council regarding the bridge fire and specifically watch duty. Watch Duty is an app for your phone. It's just called Watch Duty, and they do track fires. And they put up the fire perimeter, and they put out information about the fire. It's a good app. There are 2 versions of it, a free version and a paid version. There is no reason to purchase it. What you get for the professional version, you don't need. What is good about the Watch Duty app is that our zones. We have Genesis Protect, and we have our evacuation zones here in Altadena that we have been promoting, and I believe you have them on the website and all of that. So Altadena is zoned out, and Watch Duty picks up those zones. They pick up that map. So if we were to issue evacuation warnings or evacuation orders for any zones that are in Altadena, if there's any threat, it will appear on the Watch Duty app. They won't give you all the information. You should still go to Genesis to get more particular information that's associated with a zone, but they do pick that up, so it is good. And they will use our naming convention. The emails that I got were the zones look like they're numbers, and I live in the Meadows zone, and is it going to convert to a number or what? And no, it will say Meadows. It will use our naming convention. It's picked up directly from Genesis. So it is a good way to track what is going on with the fire. So I wanted to point that out. I also wanted to assure the council members, and by extension the community, that if there is ever a brush fire where there is any sort of threat to your community, you will be notified. So I know that there were people, it gets scary, right? It gets scary and people get nervous. I did address a couple of emails directly. There was never any threat to the community of Altadena from the bridge fire. And I would have let you know so that you could put it out to your residents as well. So I just wanted to kind of just reinforce that and put you at ease that if you don't hear from me, that's really good, okay? It's really good. Silence is golden.
To that point, I was going to say that during the Bobcat fire, we got a lot of updates from you.
Yes.
And we were able to push that out in almost real time to the community. So I sort of took it as, I do have Watch Duty on my phone, and those alerts, it's a lot of information, more than we probably needed to know on the bridge fire, but it was good to have because it allayed some concerns, for sure.
Yeah, it does. So are there any questions about the report or any of that before I turn it over to Chief Sprangle?
I just wanted to extend a personal thank you. I think it was Fire Station 11. We had, I don't even know what the there are these, they look like gray paint buckets that are where the electrical lines converge on the poles. What are they called?
Transformer.
Well, okay, I think of a transformer as a little blue thing, but whatever. The transformer. We were in our bedroom, and I heard what I thought was fireworks, or I thought it was gunfire, but it turned out to be, this was during the extreme heat, it turned out to be a blown transformer that caused a pole fire, and Station 11 came out very quickly, so thank you to them. I feel like the council members have taken great advantage of our public safety in Altadena recently, so, but thank them for
I will pass that along to them.
Yeah, it was very hot. It was like 111 that day, and they were popping all over. Okay, any other questions for Maria before she turns it over? Okay, great.
Thank you, Maria. And thank you for that. I appreciate you speaking about Fire Station 11 and their service. So you are going to get a lot of those types of calls when we do get that influx of heat, especially the heat that we had a couple weeks ago. So I just want to give you a couple quick updates on the bridge fire. I know you guys get a lot of the numbers and what have you, but we'll talk about it just quickly so that we're all on the same page here. So the fire started well up into the Angeles National Forest above Glendora on September 8th. The fire quickly threatened Wrightwood, the communities of Wrightwood and Mount Baldy, and additional communities also, but we are directly responsible for those communities of Wrightwood and Mount Baldy, and that's where most of our resources went from LA County and have been working there since the start of the fire up until today, and they're still up there. Fortunately, the fire burned in a north and northeast direction. So fortunate for us down here in Altadena, the push was to the north and the northeast. So again, the majority of the work for LA County Fire was in those two communities. The bridge fire today, the numbers are at 54,795 acres burned, 35% contained. Those containment numbers will go up fairly quickly here in the next 2 days. We've had a couple days now of good weather that have certainly helped us. And those numbers will continually go up, and they'll rise pretty dramatically here the next couple of days as we start to wind this fire down. We're trying to get good completion of this fire before we go into another event, another weather influx, I'll say, over the weekend, and we want to be ready for that as we go into the weekend. So what I would say too is the bridge fire this week reminds us of the potential this time of year for large fire growth. Remind our residents to keep their property and their home prepared and defendable. Additionally, have a family plan. Follow our Ready, Set, Go program. That's your personal wildfire action plan. And it can be found at fire.lacounty.gov, and it'll walk you right through the process for Ready, Set, Go. I will tell you this, the fire pushed heavily, this fire here, the bridge fire, pushed heavily into Wrightwood and impacted it very hard on the night of the 10th. I was up there, and I will tell you, we evacuated a community very, very quickly. Part of that is in the efforts of Zone Haven, Genesis Protect, and a big part of it is people being prepared. Obviously, they live in a community that is heavily impacted by wildfire or the potential for wildfire. We live in that same community down here in Altadena, I'll tell you that right now. We get a wind-driven fire that comes out of the Angeles National Forest, we better be ready. So that means following Ready, Set, Go. That means following your zone with Zone Haven, Genesis Protect, and being ready to go. A lot of those residents that night left on a mandatory evacuation order, and they're not back in their homes yet. We're trying to do the best we can to get those residents back in, but when a fire impacts a community like it did in Wrightwood, we need to make sure that utilities are back up. We need to make sure there's a lot of stuff to make sure is back up and ready to go before residents come back in. But they did a very, very good job overall of getting residents out there. We put a ton of resources from LA County Fire up there, engine-wise, to hold and protect those neighborhoods. Extremely tough neighborhoods with large pine trees on every property up there, pines, et cetera, as you can imagine in a mountainous community like Wrightwood. But this is, we're just going into the windy season for us right now. As we move forward the next couple months, we need to be ready to go.
Wind-driven fire, we are going to have to be ready here in the community and ready to go. That means a plan. That means ready to evacuate. That means figuring out what you're going to do with your animals, both large and small, and having some sort of plan so that you're ready. With that, I'll answer any questions, and I just like the opportunity to talk about that a little bit so that we are prepared going into these next couple months as we get into our windy season.
Any questions? Dorothy, I think we ought to link to Ready, Set, Go on our website.
Yes.
Okay, it's there. Is it front page?
It's not I can highlight it on a blog.
I think it's probably a good idea at this season. Did you have a question? Go ahead.
No, through all of this, it was just really making me think this was an opportunity for us to really get prepared, practice, whatever that means, and then it really called to light again that a lot of our elderly residents might not be able to just ready, set, go, and then circling back to CERT and Map Your Neighborhood, how important all of those things are for us in Altadena, because you know, I was watching an app, but what were my neighbors doing, right? Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I just wanted
a lot of boxes to check, a lot of stuff to get prepared, but with a little bit of preparation, it goes a whole lot smoother and a whole lot easier, especially when we're trying to evacuate a community like we could potentially have to do here. So think about those things, the older residents, the younger residents, the animals is a big one, and making sure that we have some sort of plan in place. And we work hand in hand with Sheriff's Department, CHP, to make sure that all that goes well, along with Public Works and all of our partners. It all comes together, and it definitely is all of us. It's game day for us, and we're ready and prepared, ready to go, and we will do that. So,
I think we have a couple more questions. Councilmember Vega?
Yes, and now that fall's coming, windy season's coming, how often do you suggest that the residents clean their gutters? And then the size of the mesh on the vents, because we know that the embers are what blow and get fires started, or spread rather.
I would say if you can, weekly, and we're talking about leaf litter on the roof lines. We're talking about leaf litters in the gutters. We're talking about making sure trees are pruned back off of the roof line, making sure that our gutters are cleaned up. A lot of times it's a lot of work when we get the wind and what have you, but as often as you can get out there and do that, it needs to be done. That is what is going to be the receptive, the receptive fuel for any ignition. So, and just as a reminder, when we do get wind-driven fires, you might have spotting out in front of the fire itself, upwards of a mile, mile and a half, 2 miles at times, with a good hard wind. So, be prepared for that. Just make sure we go back and do a little bit of maintenance. A lot of times we do it in April, May, and we forget about it. But going into these months, is windier months, this is when we really need it, and it needs to be prepared and ready to go.
Mesh, the covering. Oh, the mesh.
Mesh.
1/8 mesh.
Yep, same thing, yep, 1/8 inch. And if again, we could clean that and make sure that debris is moved out in front of them.
Councilmember Chipola?
So, I mean, I've lived in the foothills my whole life. I got a lot of family in Glendora. I can't remember the last time we had like large fires, multiple at the same time. How well resourced is your department to handle the multi-fire situation, and where you guys redlined?
So we will always, not only our department always gets ready going into these next few months. That's with additional air resources, that's with additional ground forces and what have you. We also rely heavily on the Master Mutual Aid in Southern California that we are very, very good at. The bridge fire was a perfect example of that. That's San Bernardino, that's Angeles National Forest, that's LA County Fire, and all other agencies throughout Southern California coming together to work together for that. So we'll move resources up all the time. We do the same thing for other parts of California. So the last couple of months we've been up in Northern California. That started in about June this year. Extremely busy June and July up in Northern California. We move our resources up there. They're going to help us in return as we get into these months here. So we're ready to go. We do rely heavily on Master Mutual Aid system, and we do that with aircraft also. We take aircraft from Forest Service Federal and from state and from the other local agencies here to combat our fires. And the biggest thing we do is we put the most robust attack on it that we can to try to keep them small.
Councilmember Arnzen?
For those looking to assist the communities that have been impacted recently, Wrightwood and Mount Baldy, is there any place to go to find out how they can help?
Maria, this is a help. This is my phone for help here. I'm chewing.
I would inquire with the Office of Emergency Management. They're working really closely with that and also with local assistance centers that are being set up to help those residents. So they're working cross-county, so they're working with San Bernardino hand in hand. So I would check with the Office of Emergency Management.
Okay, is that it? Great. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much again, Maria.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we now are going to do a Public Works update with Julian Garcia on the road projects going on in Altadena. And Julian, before you start, perhaps to Councilmember Morona's question, do you know if there's a weight limit for trucks that are coming through town?
So in residential streets, there are weight limits, but when you're going through commercial corridors of any sort, there are no weight limits. And one more caveat too is that even where there is a weight limit to residential street, any truck that is entering to deliver goods or services is allowed to go in there. So a moving truck, delivery trucks are always going to be allowed to go through.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm Julian Garcia, Public Works. Thank you for having me again. I'm just going to do a quick update on the traffic safety improvements. This is based on the list and map that I went over last time, just to kind of show where we are with those. Main thing though, this is not one of our projects, but it is a project our department is working on, the Washington Boulevard and Altadena Drive project. So the project manager did send me an update. So I wanted just to share that since I know that that is an ongoing project that impacts a lot of the community. They mentioned that the Washington Boulevard west of Grand Oaks was completed a little while ago. Right now they're finishing up east of Grand Oaks on Washington Boulevard, and they're expected to finish that October 1st. I think they did the base layers when I went past on the outside lanes, and they're going to be doing the center to be completed by October 1st. And the intersection itself is scheduled for construction overnight. They're going to go over 2 nights, October 2nd and October 3rd, to complete that intersection, to hopefully get all that done and out of the way before the holidays come in. And then after that, they'll be scheduling the Altadena Drive improvements, which are the reconstruction improvements there as well. So there's a website. I don't think it can be seen there, but I can share it with you that has the updates. I didn't realize my slide's a little blurry on that, but you can provide continuous updates on where that is. Okay, so I'm back. So this is a map of our traffic safety project updates. And in Public Works, we divide our projects into 3 main categories. We have transportation capital improvements, which are major road construction projects, something like the Altadena Washington project. We have maintenance projects, which is usually like a slurry seal or a resurfacing. And then we have the traffic safety projects, which are usually smaller or more localized in scope, and they involve upgrades to existing facilities to address concerns that are usually raised by constituents or through our discussions with the town council as well. So this map just kind of shows us the projects that we have going on. This does not include investigations or active studies. These are when an investigation is concluded and determines that a recommendation is made, that's when we start the traffic safety project. I don't have the numbers for Altadena, but annually we receive somewhere between 1,100 and 1,200 traffic investigation requests throughout the county of Los Angeles, which are investigation groups overseas. So it's quite a large number, and percentage of those turn into projects like this. Oh, can you go to the next one then? Last time I spoke about Altadena Drive and New York Drive. This is the same drawing that I had shown there, but the plans I mentioned will be completed by September, and they are substantially complete. That means the design is laid out, is being reviewed right now. So we should have it finished by the end of this month, so that we can start schedule implementation of that. There is, if you go to the next slide, one back. No. So we received a request to evaluate extending, there's a bike lane on New York Drive itself that goes to, I think it ends around Eaton Canyon, and then it goes past City of Pasadena. A request to evaluate the extension of that bike lane over to make it all the way to the Altadena intersection. There are shoulders on both sides of the roads that are hashed, so geometrically it's not a huge challenge, but we do have to work with the city to do that evaluation because there is some parking utilization on the north side of that street in that segment, so we'll work with the city to see if that's something they want to consider, and then we can add that it will not impact this project. It's a small adjustment to kind of just narrow down the bulb bars that we're putting in to accommodate for a bicycle lane to come to the intersection. So since we're doing the striping there, we're just going to have that discussion with the city, see if it's something that they want to have through their segment, and then continue into the intersection. Another project we've been working on is Fair Oaks Avenue at Altadena Drive. There is a two-part project there. One is interim improvements to just upgrade the crosswalks, fix some timing on the signals. So those plans are almost finished. We should have those ready to go in November. That is an interim condition. There is a full upgrade of the signal to add turning movements and whatnot. That will be a longer-term project, but we did want to go and address crossing and putting in some of the crosswalk updates and some of the timing changes that we can do at this time. So those plans should be completed in November, and then we can go ahead and schedule that implementation as well. Fair Oaks, Loma Alta Drive, and Wapello. If you've seen that intersection, it's a very large, kind of like five-way intersection. Originally looking at this, we were trying to implement a traffic circle of some sort to put in there. This location, if you've been out there, you've seen the pavement is very wide. There's a bus that goes north on that side and sometimes decides to make a U-turn at that location rather than go continuously all the way through. Because the intersection is so large that you can actually turn a bus around. And there are other drivers that like to do those turnarounds at a much faster speed as well. So we tried to do the roundabout. We tried to put an island in there in a couple of locations. Due to the strange kind of geometry of the configuration, making those left turns would not fit, especially larger vehicles. So we're moving instead with narrowing down that intersection by kind of closing the right side of it a little bit, putting in like an island with delineators, and then those, where you see those lines coming in from each side, we're probably gonna put in a hardened center line, which is kind of like a raised center line along the middle with some delineators along as well. And that's really to make sure that you can't be drifting or spinning, and there's not enough room left over for vehicles to really think that they can just drive through the delineators and make those U-turns. I think we put some of it on by the Santa Rosa and the stop sign that is there right now. Is it in Santa Rosa and Woodbury? Yeah, there's some delineators there, and they put some of those base. It looks like a rubber curb, like a yellow rubber curb. So we would put that in all the approaches going in to make sure that limiting those takeover, donating, or buses trying to make U-turns. So that's a concept that we think is going to work. So we're now laying it out and making sure geometrically it'll fit, and that's probably one that we'll present once we have it nailed down to make sure it works. A couple other projects, we have several speed cushions. We've implemented a few of them. So the ones that we have left, Mar Vista is scheduled to be between Mendocino Street and New York Drive is scheduled to be installed next month. And we have two along Mountain View that are currently being scheduled. So we don't have schedules for those quite yet. Those two segments are adjacent to each other, so it really goes from Casitas all the way to Fair Oaks to implement some speed cushions along that corridor as well. There's a number of multi-way stop controls that we have already had approved, but geometrically we're trying to lay out the concepts to put them in them. One is Loma Alta Drive at Sunset Ridge. We've had that one for a while as well. We have a interim design as well in this one that we will have completed next month to implement. Ultimately, the challenge there is drainage. There's a catch basin at one end. So the conditions for that crosswalk are going to be, it's going to look a little strange. It's going to be a little bit angled to be able to get to the temporary ramp to act as accessible compliance access. Ultimately, we'd like to go back and redesign the drainage and make it a more traditional crossing, but we really want to just put that stop sign in there right now. I think right now it's just stopping one direction. There's no stop along La Malta, so we'll be able to implement the stop controls there on La Malta itself. I think it's an uncontrolled crosswalk right now that is in place, so we really want to put that stop sign in that location. We have two adjacent intersections on Lake Avenue, one at Mount Curve and one at Concha Street. It's in the north end and south end of the park there. That also will trigger some accessibility compliance issues, which is what we're trying to address right now. And then we have received some concern from folks that think that we're going a little too crazy with the stop controls. So we are doing the analysis on the queuing to make sure that we can show that there is no substantial impacts. We had a lot of concerns when we implemented at Santa Rosa Woodbury, but it hasn't quite panned out to be the delays that they thought were going to happen. So those are being developed right now, and we should have them completed probably in the next 2 months. And there's Ventura Street and Toll Avenue is also being developed. So these are all approved. We're just developing the layouts of what it's going to look like. And then we have some striping upgrades as well that we're doing. Cheney Trail, trying to put some striping in there. It is going to impact some parking. It's not a very long segment, but it is going to impact some of the parking there. So we plan to have that design completed next month as well. We're working on Hill Avenue from Calaveras to Morada Place. That's the turn. There's going to be some edge lane striping and some additional signage as well, curve advisory signage as well. And then Lincoln Avenue from the Lavinia development down to Altadena Drive. It actually goes past Altadena Drive now. We're going to pair it up with a paving project that is going to be starting next year. So we're going to be tying all those improvements to be part of that project as well. And then coming off of Lincoln Avenue, Loma Alta Drive as well is going to have striping enhancements going all the way to Dabney Street. So that's ultimately going to go past the park, trying to put some edge line stripings, try to tie it into the new stop sign and the new crosswalk we're putting in there. And there's a few other improvements that are being looked at to kind of try to keep speeds down a little bit as well. Okay, I think that's all the updates I have for the active projects going on there. If any questions from the council? And if you go to the next slide, I have my email address. And then one last thing too is if you work with us, Traffic Safety at Public Works, in the last few years, you probably work with a number of different names. We do have a lot of turnover. People either transfer out, get promoted out. So we actually, I don't know why we never thought of it earlier, but we just have an email address, Traffic Safety Questions at Public Works, that will always be accessible. So you're not trying to email somebody you worked with 2 years ago who may not respond quickly because either they're no longer there or it's not part of their purview. So this Traffic Safety Questions email address will just remain with all of our investigations groups, whoever is assigned to that at the moment. So.
Okay, questions for Julian before we let him go? Can we get this emailed to me so I can send it out to everybody? Did you send it to me, Julian, or you didn't?
I don't think it was received, so I'll resend it as soon as I get out of here.
Okay, and then I can get it to council members so you can all keep track of your projects. And then one question, we had a contractor do work on Maiden Lane over by St. Mark's, and they dug a trench and then they filled it back in, and they did not do such a great job. So a resident complained to someone in Public Works about a week or 10 days ago, and then we didn't get a response. Where can I forward that email so that we can compel them to come back and fix their work?
You can send it over to me. I'll pass over to it. So
okay.
We'll send it over to our construction inspectors to make sure that there
is.
should be some kind of writers or something with the contractor to make sure they can come back and guarantee their work. So
will do. Councilmember Markerson?
Yeah, have you found out if the city of Pasadena is going to do the east side of New York Drive Altadena Drive north of New York?
So they will. I think is first quarter next year is where it's scheduled for. So there will be, which is
okay.
Not that far anymore. We're already almost in fourth quarter,
okay.
but they have agreed to participate.
Okay, so county will do their half, and then Pasadena will come in and do theirs.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? I know that was a lot. Okay, so then I will circulate this to all of you so you all know what's going on. Okay.
And then it'll be in a map too. If it's a map number, then it has the updates in the back.
It'll be easier, good to read. Okay, wait, go ahead, Councilmember Arnzen.
Could I include this slideshow on the Acona website?
Certainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Victoria, we're going to have him come to the October land use meeting. So if anybody has
Does
other
he know?
questions.
Does he know that?
Yes.
Yes, we spoke before this.
He does.
No,
now?
he does. He did.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
All right, we'll see
Well,
you in
thank you,
October then.
friend.
All right, thanks a lot, Julian. We appreciate it. Okay, we are going to move on to our community reports, and the first and foremost is our Altadena Libraries Director, Nikki Winslow.
Good
I have
evening.
such good things to say. We had so much fun yesterday.
Yes, we did.
But I'll let you talk about
Okay,
that.
all right. I'm going to be very brief tonight. I was sort of told to be. So we sent in, I sent in several slides that I don't know how people get access to them, but it has all of the programs because we do constant programs. So you can get that information on the website on our events page. So I'm just going to be really high level tonight. So first, building projects. Who has driven by Bob Lucas lately? How great does it look? I'm so excited. Years in the making. So if you want to go to the next slide, Dorothy. So this is the inside view out of the Literacy Center expansion. So that's on the north side of the building, kind of moving into where the driveway was off of Lincoln. So it will be this dedicated space for literacy, which is wonderful. If you want to go next, then these aren't even the most updated pictures. If you've driven by lately, you get to see into the southeast corner, the children's area expansion. So again, coming together amazingly. If you go to the next slide, we're 37% complete. We're on track and projected to be done in the beginning of May, which is what the plan was all along. So really excited about that. I would encourage you to take a look at our next chapter page on the website. There's a video that Bryn, our marketing person, put together, and you can see like how it was versus what it looks like now. And we're going to continue to put videos like that together as well as updates about the projects. Real quickly with Maine, we're working with an outside consultant to do an environmental impact review study, which is going to be part of the process of getting the conditional use permit. That's going to take about 6 months. At that point, we should be able to get the permit, working with the planning department. Pat and Vi are aware, and I'll work with them as much as I need to, but that's moving and should start, if not right when Bob finishes next year, sometime during the summer. So I'll keep updating you on that as well. It is National Library Card Sign-Up Month. Yesterday, as Victoria alluded to, we did a ribbon cutting. Oh yeah, that picture is from yesterday, where Assemblymember Holden came about 2 to 3 years ago. He secured $250,000 for us out of the state budget, which was wonderful. We originally asked for $5,000, so we wanted to give him mad props. That money paid for the van, which is like a more traditional bookmobile. It has shelves. We'll get it out. People can get a card and check out books. So we're going to have 4 stops this week at different locations in town. I have flyers in the back if you're interested to see where that will be. So yeah, it was a fun little event yesterday. We're also going to be celebrating, if you want to go to the next one, Latino and Hispanic Heritage Month, some really cool programs. Again, not going into details, check out the website. Following that, we'll be celebrating Native American Heritage Month with several programs at the main library, if you want to go to the next slide, all throughout the month of November. Next slide. Super fast, I told you. We also appointed 2 new Poets Laureate. It's a 2-year appointment. They kicked off their events or their programming season on August 21st, and have actually had another event since then in September. They're going to offer about a program every month or 2, so check out the website. They have some really amazing programs, and some of which are out at community businesses. Second Saturday is back. Amazing. We're going to be kicking off in September with Upstream, which is one of our most popular bands. That one's actually going to be outside in the parking lot. This season, we're only going to do 5 concerts. We weren't sure exactly when Maine would close, so they'll be in October, November, January, February, March. So more info to come. Yep. And that's it. I told you I would be quick tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And again, check out the events page. You know we have a program like every day, it seems like, so.
Any questions for Director? Just let us know and let her go. I did just want to say that it was, sometimes our events are small community gatherings. Yesterday was particularly poignant with Assemblyman Holden about to give up his seat at the Assembly. So it was lovely to know how much he cares about this community, how much he advocated for that extra 0 or 2. And it was just a really good event to showcase what can be done and how we can really utilize the funds for the betterment of the community. So thank you for everything you've done to bring all of this to bear. We appreciate it immensely.
Yeah.
We love our library. Any other questions for Nikki before she goes? And I would encourage you to drive down Lincoln and check out the progress at Bob Lucas, and do not stop your car in the middle of an intersection to take a picture. Just warning you now.
Right, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Well, and the moral of the story is just ask for money. Ask for money.
Ask for money, yes. Thank you so much, Nikki. Okay, the Chamber of Commerce emailed that they will not be here. James Aragon did not come in that we know of, right? Okay. Then we've got the Friends of the Altadena Senior Center. Dale is here. There she is. Welcome.
Here I am, thank you. Okay, exciting things going on. The fly of the calendar is we don't like the format, but that's what the county made us do. But it's there. It's also on the website. Things are going on. We have an open house on September 25th. Please encourage everybody to come, and that's not just for seniors. Anybody can come. See what the programming is. We'll have some samples of some of our classes, including our renowned ballroom dancing class. And it's going to be from 12 to 3 on the 25th. We have a flyer, but the county has not approved it yet, so you probably won't see it. This month's trip is the Getty Center. It's the 24th. All slots were filled as of the 11th, but there's a waiting list, and it's a free trip if you get a chance. It's really well worth it. The lunches that are served, the hot lunch program that is served by the YWCA, you need to encourage people to participate in this. It's $3 for seniors, $5 for non-seniors, and free if you are low income or unable to pay. You have to sign up for it, but then you're signed up and you can come whenever you want. It's every day at 11:30, and the meals are quite good, actually.
How do people sign up, Dale?
They come to the center and they fill out a form.
Okay.
That's all. They just need to keep track of how many meals and how many people and so forth. Also, Meals on Wheels operates out of our facility, and they have a lot of room for people who need Meals on Wheels. So if you know somebody in your area, please encourage them to come down to the center and sign up. It's a wonderful program. It's reasonably priced, and I know there's people who need that food. So we're trying to encourage it. We have a lot of things planned. Weeby Health is going to be sponsoring Zumba classes, senior food distributions, and possibly a Tai Chi class. We're going to have some mental health workshops from the LA County. The County Fire, the Sheriff's Office, and CHP are all cooperating with us to put on workshops about senior safety and things that can be done to help seniors live the best life they can in the community. We have I'm sorry, I'm really tired. We have an AARP safe driving class coming up for seniors, and that will be free. We have we're going to have a talent show, probably after the first of the year. And all members of the community are invited to participate, to come and audition for us, and it's going to be a free show for everybody to come and see. We are looking for volunteers, Anybody who wants to be a volunteer to teach a class, if they have some special talent, particularly we need physical movement kind of things, exercise classes or dance classes, but any sort of art class or anything that they have that is poetry, whatever. We really want to provide as many classes as we can for people so that we have a wide enough range to interest everybody in the community. Let's see, is that pretty much it? That's pretty much it. We're a Halloween party. We're going to have a Halloween party on October 31st. Costumes are encouraged. It's free. There'll be food and a couple of contests, and it's kind of fun. Any questions?
Any questions for Dale? There's a lot going on for our seniors, finally, so it's nice to see such a full calendar.
We're working and we also need volunteers on the Friends Board and on the Advisory Board. Help us know what people want. We're taming the county slowly but surely. Don't tell them I said that.
Okay, Councilmember Arnzen?
When you mentioned volunteers for the Friends Board,
Yes.
is this, I'm thinking of our high school interns with the council.
Okay, high school interns is something that I meant to mention. We're looking for example, somebody who can teach basic computer skills. We could use a high school student. We could use a college student. If they want to teach some other kind of technology things, we'd love to have them. If they just want to come down and talk to people and learn about what it was like to live here in the old days, or what old people think, which sometimes they do want to know that. We'd love to have some volunteers come in from the community, from the high school and the college. The only thing is they have to be 18 to be certified as a county volunteer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that is it. Thanks. It's so
Thank
good to
you.
see you, Dale. Thanks so much. It's nice to see a full calendar.
Thank you.
Okay. Altadena Historical Society. Narmeen? Oh, we're going to let you take your time to get up there. Yeah, you toss it. Oh.
Good evening, Madam Chair and council members, and good evening to the community. Folks, how are you enjoying the change in our weather? It is nice, isn't it? I welcome it. It's a nice break. Well, I wanted to give you a little bit of background about Altadena Historical Society. I'm a board member at the Historical Society, as well as I volunteer there also. Well, I wanted to tell you that the Historical Society was founded in 1935. And it's been run by volunteers this whole time. And the goal of the Historical Society is to gather information, to catalog information, and to provide digital as well as print information to all people, whether they are researchers themselves, whether they are teachers, whether they're residents, whether they are writers, authors, etc. Provide them with information about what was life like in Altadena in bygone years. But also in doing that, we also shed some light on what's going on in Altadena currently too. So I think it behooves us to have a little bit of history knowledge, and to have some information as to why we are where we are today. So by the way, our office is located in this building. So, please come and visit, especially if you're someone who is looking for information. The way that I got involved with the Altadena Historical Society is that I moved down from Northern California, and I looked at 34 houses before I bought the house that I did, which is on Calaveras and Glen Rose Avenue. And I was very curious about my house, as well as I was really pleased to find out that I was living in a home and in an area that was considered just for people of color. So I thought that was kind of cool. I thought, wow, I landed up in the right place. I love my home, I love my neighborhood, and I love my neighbors. And I was very curious about the history of my home. So I went to the Altadena Historical Society to ask, could you tell me something about my home? And they gave me a little bit of information. And as I looked around, I thought, I think they could use my help. So I asked if I could volunteer there. And I began volunteering December of 2022. So I've been volunteering there, and by the way, the whole society is run, it's powered by volunteers. So there's no paid member working at the Historical Society. And yet we provide information to all the people who are curious about everything and anything, whether it's their home, whether it is historical information about their family, or businesses that were run here, etc. So I come here tonight to say, please think about volunteering. We really have a very dynamic group. We're very committed. We're very excited. We're a rambunctious group of people who work hard to catalog all this information digitally. And we provide all this information. For example, today I volunteered, and a young woman came in because she's just completed her bachelor's degree at Dartmouth University, and she's going to Oxford in London. She is an anthropology major, and she is from here. So it was really grand to help her because she was searching for some things. So I find myself helping a lot of people who come in to find out things. And I wanted to mention that the AHS, or Altadena Historical Society, is open to the public on Mondays and Fridays. On Mondays from 4:30 to 7:30, on Fridays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m. And for volunteers, Tuesdays and Fridays are the days that we volunteer, and we're always open and inviting volunteers to join us. So again, I know maybe you do not have free time, the council members, but I'm sure you know people that might be able to volunteer. So I put that out to you. And currently, we're also looking for a treasurer, because the treasurer that we've had for several years has decided to retire. And so I look to you when you gave your treasure report. If you need to polish your skills further, please consider us. Besides collecting and cataloging and sharing information about Altadena and the places in Altadena and the events in Altadena that has really influenced the development of Altadena, we also offer programs as well as exhibits. And some of the programs that we have done this year, for example, has been, we've done a luncheon and a celebration of Juneteenth, where we acknowledged as well as commemorated Ellen Garrison Clark, who was a educator and I can't say the word, abolitionist, thank you so much, and a foremost, an early member of the civil rights movement. And so we had a luncheon, we also had a quilt exhibit, all made by people around the notion of slavery and Juneteenth. And aside from that, the reason
Narmeen.
that I mentioned, and I'll finish off right
please,
now.
thank you.
The reason that I mentioned that the Altadena Historical Society was formed in 1935 is that we're going to turn 90 next year. So we are looking forward to planning many celebrations and a big birthday bash. So I hope that you will attend. And I also wanted to mention that October 28th, Monday of this year at 7 p.m., we will have a speaker by the name of Becky Nicolodin. I cannot pronounce her last name, I'm sorry. And she's going to be talking about her book that she wrote, which was released this year, and it's called The New Suburbia: How Diversity Remade Suburban Life in Los Angeles After 1945. Sorry, my mouth went dry like it's nobody's business. So I thank you for the time. Sorry if I went a bit over, and I look forward to seeing you next time that I'm here.
Thank you so much, and you take care of yourself.
I will, thank you.
Okay, we've got Gail here. I see you. Great. Gail, do we have a presentation, or you're just going to go over information? Okay, great. So Gail is here from Public Health, the specialized food service inspection branch, and we're talking about sidewalk vending enforcement.
Yes, thank you, council members. Thank you, public. Nice to meet you all. I'm here to talk about our enforcement, as well as providing you an update regarding our enforcement. I'd like to start off by letting you know that we have been out to Altadena to address complaints of unpermitted food vendors. And so far, we have visited 25 sites, where some of them we have visited multiple times. And we've issued about 28 violation notices, and of which we also issued 8 administrative citations. We have also disposed of 5,761 pounds of food during these enforcement responses. So I'd like to also share with you our enforcement process. Because of the increased threats to the health inspectors, we do ask the LA Sheriff's Department to provide support to us. So anytime we receive a complaint to investigate, we'll have to contact the LA Sheriff's Department to coordinate an enforcement response. And also, anytime there are other issues that may arise, we like to include our county agency partners, such as Public Works or TTC, to maybe address the grease issue or the blockage of the sidewalks. Okay. And another component of our enforcement is condemning the food. Because these sidewalk, what we call sidewalk pop-up restaurants, pop up on the sidewalk, they do not have hand washing facilities. There is no method of, washing utensils. There are no bathroom facilities. So we want to make sure we keep the public safe. And we do go out, we take temperatures of the food. Many a times if the food is out of temperature, if there's any open food, if there's any food that needs to be refrigerated and it's not, we will condemn the food. Okay. Now our department does cover the county-wide, and we do receive approximately 200 to 300 complaints per month. So we try our best to go out to the different areas throughout the county to conduct these complaint investigations. Another aspect of our enforcement process is to also check in on the food warehouses that are possibly supplying the food to these food vendors out on the street. So oftentimes we'll get either tips from the public or even tips from anonymous callers to let us know, hey, there's something fishy going on at this building or whatnot. So anytime we investigate these unpermitted food warehouses, we also check for temperature, hand washing, utensil washing, and we do dispose of any food that's either out of temperature or contaminated by vermin. Yeah, also, we have responded to a number of food warehouses so far, and as we're getting more tips, we're noticing an increased number of these food warehouses that we're finding who are supplying food to the street vendors. Now, I just wanted to share with you our reporting process. Anytime you do see these food vendors out on the street, you may report to our department. You can call our customer call center at 888-700-9995, or you could call our mobile food program directly, who investigates these unpermitted food vendors at 626-430-5500. Or you can send an email to E as in environmental, H as in health, V as in vehicle, I as in inspection, P as in program, at P as in public, H as in health, .lacounty.gov. And you can always report online as well to www.publichealth.lacounty.gov/EH. And as for next steps, we are currently scheduled to come out to the community in October. So we should probably have an update after that to let you know about our continued enforcement. And that opens up and to welcome you to any questions you may have.
Go ahead, Councilmember Vega.
What are the hours that somebody will be answering the phones for these two numbers?
It will be 8 to 5.
Okay.
Monday through Friday.
Other questions? Okay, I think overall, and I know that I talked to Captain Williams about this, and I know that Captain feels like the dialogue between his department and your department has been increasing. I think that, we have, eliminated one of the bigger taco vendors that was, I'm not even going to say where it was so that nobody crops back up there. But I think that, the one that's on, over in your census tract, Sylvia, that's on Washington and Altadena Drive in front of the AM 7-Eleven, right? And then the one that's on Woodbury in front of Arco. When they are encroaching into the public right-of-way, especially completely blocking a sidewalk and or their pop-up goes into the street, I think those are the ones that are the most hazardous. I think they're all hazardous because we don't have any control about the food or food safety or safe handling. Is it best to report all of them to you and your department versus calling the sheriff's department first? Or if it's completely blocking a sidewalk or they're in the street, do we call the sheriff first?
You're welcome to call us first. Regarding the health and safety of the preparation of the food.
Okay.
As far as the sheriffs, if they need to address the blocking of the sidewalk, then they can do so. But you're welcome to call us as well, because we do have to address
the food. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, and go ahead, Connor.
So last month, DEO reported they had 1,500 open cases and a 6-week response time. You have 200 to 300 reports per month. What's your guys' response time like?
It'll all depend. It's as fast as if we have availability of the law enforcement, and as well as the availability of our field staff.
And what's the relationship with DEO and public health?
DEO, we partner up with DEO. They give the educational, they'll go out and visit and provide educational materials on how to get permitted. And they also will now start also the enforcement process with the food street vendors. So we've always been enforcing, but now the DEO will also be issuing fines and whatnot.
Okay, any other questions? Thanks so much for coming back, Gail. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for
and
having
thanks
me.
for all you're doing in the community.
You're welcome.
Okay, Derek from LASA. We've got, is it Derek Blackshear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The Supervisor for Community Relations for LASA, and we're working on his she's got his presentation. Okay, so I can move out of the way. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
We looked back, and I think it was 2019 that you were last here. So it's been a long time since we've
It's been a
heard
while,
from you.
yes,
Yep.
ma'am. Before I start, real quick, I just want to say, Miss Normine, your voice is beautiful. So I really enjoyed listening to you, and thank you for everything you had to share. I can't promise to be as quick as Miss Nikki was, but Councilmember Arnzen did tell me if I go over my 10 minutes, I got to clean up. Don't want to do that, so I will try to be as brief as possible. Again, thank you guys all for having us here today. And not only thank you for allowing me to share some of the data that I'm going to share, but just thank you for allowing me to share the story behind what we see in the streets as well. I also want to give it's not working. Let's see, is it working? Maybe if I point at that. I want to say thank you to Ms. Dorothy, because not only are you working the slides for me today, but you also were our deployment site coordinator last year, and I'm really got my fingers crossed you want to do that again for me this year. Thank you so much. And the last shout out I want to give is not only to our service providers, who without them, none of this is possible, because we rely heavily on them for the work that they do, but also to all of you guys here today, the council folks, and you guys in the crowd, because without the volunteers, we don't get these numbers without you guys. And as you guys can see here, my job is to go speak about these numbers. Without these numbers, I have no job. So thank you guys again for what you guys are willing to do, and I do hope that I can kind of do a little bit of recruitment and see if you guys are willing to count again this year, so we can keep these numbers as accurate as possible. And staying on this slide, again, I'm going to try to go fast through it. I just want to give a little bit of background information, that the information I'm going to share here today is in accordance with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise known as HUD. What we do is partner with USC when we get the collection of data. We send it into HUD, who reviews the data to make sure it's accurate, and then we present the data, and then we share the data nationwide. I do want to also add that the data I'm going to show today is most accurate and most precise when we see it at a regional level, meaning either the entire county, the LA continuum of care, which does not include Glendale, Pasadena, or Long Beach, or the individual service planning areas, which are broken up into 8 individual areas. On the slides I'm going to show today, it will signify whether this is Altadena specific or whether it's the county of LA specific. Next slide, please. So jumping right into it, I do want to share with everybody that this year, for the first time in the past 6 years, we have seen a slight decrease of 0.27% for the total number of people experiencing homelessness across the county of LA, for a total estimated number of 75,312 people. I am not going to say, let's all jump up, let's go celebrate, and let's say that the job is done. But I do want to highlight that this can be a meaningful number. Ms. Dorothy, next slide, please. Because as you guys had just saw, for the first time in the past 6 years, we're not going up. And so somebody a lot smarter than me once said that before we can start going down, we need to at least plateau. And so what we're seeing is maybe this is the year that we plateaued. And the reason I say that something must be meaningful or something must be working, because not only are we plateauing, but we're seeing a difference in the trends and in the ratios. So while overall the numbers seem similar to last year, what I want to highlight, and Ms. Dorothy, go to the next slide, is the ratio of unsheltered versus sheltered people. So the estimate for unsheltered homelessness in the county of LA decreased by approximately 5.1%, while the shelter count increased by 12.17%. Again, I want you to remember that because we see that as encouraging. What that means is there are less people experiencing homelessness outdoors. There are more people experiencing homelessness inside, where it's safer, they have access to food and water, they have access to showers, medication, and services. When we can get them connected to services, we can get them through the rehousing system faster than ever before. And again, that's thinking all of you guys, right? That's the unprecedented coordination that we see. I know we've had Sheriff Luna in here, we've had a lot of other folks speaking as well, and I can tell you when I started with LASA, even when we were here 5-6 years ago, we did not have that level of coordination. I basically was not allowed in the same room with the county and the city. They did not like anything we had going on. Now we work together almost every day. I present in front of them weekly. Too many presentations? Probably, but it's okay. Next slide, please. So I want to take our attention down to the service planning areas, otherwise known as our SPAs. And I've highlighted SPA 3, which is where Altadena lies. And I'll let this number sit with you guys real quick. I have shared out the slides, and Nick, it is okay to go ahead and post these slides so that way I don't have to run through all these numbers that you guys are seeing here. But I want to highlight that in most of the areas, we're seeing a common trend. You'll see an increase in the shelter count, a decrease in the unsheltered count. And even in the SPAs where you are seeing an overall increase, most of that is due to an increase in the shelter count. You are not seeing a large increase in the unsheltered population. A lot of that is due to our encampment resolution efforts, whether that would be our county pathway homes or our city Inside Safe programs. And on the next slide, you'll see where the public is going to see this the most. You'll see a decrease in our cars, our vans, our tents, and our makeshift shelters. Most of the public eye is going to be drawn to this because this is what you guys will see when you're on the streets. And going on to the next slide, it's going to be very similar, but this is Altadena specific. So I do want to highlight a few things before I move on. Namely, as I said a little bit earlier, these numbers are most precise on the regional level. So what I'm not saying is if you go outside right now that you will count 4 cars of people experiencing homelessness. This was conducted back on the coldest day in January. What is that, 7 months ago, 8 months ago? This is not to be taken as indicative of what you will see when you go outside right now. It's meant to be a snapshot of what we see for the entire year. And so the next slides I'm going to show you, because it gets a little difficult to go only Altadena specific. I don't want to give the illusion that everybody we see or every number you see on here, you can just go outside and count, and it's going to be X amount of vehicles, X amount of black people experiencing homelessness, X amount of Latinos. So I'm going to keep it to the SPA specific numbers. But I just want to continue to highlight the fact that what we see should be encouraging. I'm not saying the numbers are jumping down drastically, but we are seeing a large shift in the trend. So maybe it's time that we start controlling the narrative about what it means to be successful. It maybe isn't just getting people into a permanent housing, but maybe it's getting people off of the streets and getting them a better chance than getting into permanent housing. Next slide, please. So just to go through a few highlights, most of the people in SPA 3 experiencing homelessness do identify as male. Next slide. 18% of the adults experiencing homelessness in this area have self-reported a serious mental illness. And again, these are self-reported numbers. Next slide. 47% of the total number in this area is experiencing chronic homelessness, meaning in the last 3 years they've done 12 or more months of being homeless. And the next slide, and I like to let this one sit just for a little bit, because 49% of the people in Service Planning Area 3 have also reported domestic violence as one of the reasons that they're experiencing homelessness. And so I appreciate the fact that we have these numbers, but I do want to share also that we know that we still need to address the systemic racism that goes on that attributes to these numbers. Black people are still overwhelmingly disproportionately shown in these numbers, and our Latino population is still the highest number and represent the highest ethnic group experiencing homelessness. Next 2 slides, please. Next one. And something that may not come to a surprise to all of you is that 54% of people who are experiencing the first bout of homelessness have said economic difficulties or economic restraints has been one of the reasons. I don't think that comes to a surprise. University of California, San Francisco did do a study last year, and this year we had demographic surveys that also collaborate with these numbers. Again, I don't think we needed a survey to tell us that economic hardship leads to bouts of homelessness. But sometimes the numbers do help open our eyes to the fact that a 2-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles County is around $2,500 per month, meaning that on average you need to earn about $100,000 to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. The 75,000 people that we just saw probably do not earn $100,000 a year. Next slide, please. Quickly want to add that we do have all these numbers online as well. So you can see all the numbers that I'm sharing here. You can also see our demographic surveys, our demographic results, along with our key performance indicators showing the movement from outreach to interim housing to permanent housing on LASA.org. We are trying to do everything in our power to be much more transparent and be held more accountable than we've ever had before. And so I'd like to show this slide and the next slide because although we do see where we need to continue working, we are still seeing positive trends. Not only are more people experiencing homelessness indoors than ever before, but we're also seeing people move through the rehousing system faster, albeit slightly, faster than ever before. And we are seeing all-time highs in placement. Last year alone, 27,300 people were placed into permanent housing. We understand that more needs to be done because for every 100 people we house, 120 are going into homelessness. Next slide, please. So what that means is we still need to continue to be innovative. We cannot only continue to do what we think worked or what used to work or what we used to do. We have to continue to work together, namely, we have to continue to innovate and we have to continue to say yes to housing as well if we are to solve this problem. So the one thing that I want to ask from everybody here is because clearly you have some interest in solving the crisis on our streets. Clearly you guys have some type of care. I just ask that you guys continue to work together and allow us to continue to do what works best. So thank you guys for my abbreviated production. I hope that I stayed within the 10 minutes because Nick, don't want to clean up. Very hungry. And I'm happy to any questions as well. I'm going to pass this back to you, Ms. Dorothy, because
That was great. That was really great, Derek. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Quick question, Derek. So what is LASA's position on grants pass and nuisance executive order on encampments?
our position on grants pass essentially is give us time to continue to do what we've shown has worked. And these results that I'm showing you here should come as it's no longer just a plea or no longer just a general question. We have documented and stats showing that best practices are leading to meaningful impacts, not enforcement, not criminalizing the status of being homelessness. Now, yes, we are a joint power association, so we are between the city and the county, so I cannot give an official, like my official opinion on grounds pass, but what we're trying to show is that what we've been doing is working. The collaboration we have with the city, the county, the good neighbor policy with Sheriff Luna is showing results. Criminalizing the status of being homeless only exasperates what we see in the streets. Arresting somebody for having a pillow and a blanket only adds an additional fine and an additional barrier to get into permanent supportive housing. When you add that barrier, and now your landlord will not accept you into housing, your bout with homelessness is going to extend. The literal definition of exasperating the issue.
Thank you. I commend your work.
Go ahead, Councilmember Vega.
Captain Williams mentioned domestic violence in his crime report, and then you showed that stat. So, for our community,
yes.
Where can we refer somebody if somebody needed to call? That would be a resource for that locally.
Yes, and I will send you guys our DV number as well for our coordinators who step in with that. Along with, Adult Protective Services also has their own separate line that will add and assist. Hope that's not me.
I know the Door of Hope actually has a component there for domestic violence survivors.
Other questions? Go ahead, Dorothy. Did it just leave your mind?
Just to verify, since we are neighbors with the Angeles National Forest, those numbers are part of the overall SGV. Do you factor in homelessness in the Angeles?
Yes. Those numbers were on the overall spa-wide numbers I showed you, but not in the Altadena numbers. We do have that separated out. And the one thing I forgot to send you was an actual breakdown of Altadena's full numbers. So, Nick, I'll send you that tomorrow because it's late and I'm tired.
And thank you for your hard work. It's been, I think this might be the third year that I helped do our count here. And you know, we can see how hard and how much it's grown
Yes,
with
ma'am.
the amount of people and services to help our neighbors.
And that's
Thank
why
you.
I always enjoy coming out, because it's a chance for me to say thank you for the help that you guys give us as well. And I just love the colors, the purple and the yellow going together right there. It's just a great way to end the night.
It's funny. Okay, any other questions, or can we let Derek go out into the good night? Great. Thank you so much. It was so informative. We really appreciate you coming.
It was my pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you. What'd you say? Okay, got it. Okay. We're going to move through this as quickly as possible. We're going to start with our committee reports. Land use, Chair Markison.
Yes, the Land Use Committee met on September 3rd to do an internal review of all 8 of the projects that we're currently working on. And we are going to be meeting in October. You heard that Julian will come and talk about our road things, but we'll also be voting on one of our projects and maybe having presentations on others. So that's all we have.
So that meeting is October 1st, correct, Diane?
Oh, yeah,
That's the
Diane,
first-
I'm sorry, yes,
Okay.
October 1st.
And that'll be here in the community center?
Yes.
Great. Okay, moving on, communication.
I
Chair
will
Arnzen.
yield my time and present next month.
Oh, aren't you great? Okay, moving on to Safe Streets. Chair Wong.
I was doing the same thing, trying to get everything pulled together and quickly, but our next Safe Streets meeting, again, the Altadena committee, I'm sorry, I've been really hard hit on the homelessness part, but the Safe Streets Committee meets the 4th Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. via Zoom. So our meeting will be coming up on the 26th of this month at 7 p.m. And some of the highlights of things that have been going on is, after listening to the traffic safety update from Public Works, a lot of the work came from community walk audits, which we've learned through support from UC Berkeley Safe Trek as well as California Walks. So we're going to just sort of continue this, as maybe we can talk about it deeper later, but really it resulted in safe routes to schools as an opportunity to think about how we can get ourselves safely to school, businesses, etc. So that's more walk audit work. Also, which I mentioned earlier a bit, but on October 2nd is the 7th Annual California Clean Air Day. The Coalition for Clean Air will host their 7th Annual California Clean Air Day events statewide and in Altadena. Also on October 9th is National Walk and Roll to School Day. So in Altadena, we have 10 schools at a variety of locations, starting out at Altadena Library, Farnsworth Park, Loma Alta Park, perhaps Seventh-day Adventists. So council members get involved. It's been really fun getting out there, and so stay up to date on that. And I'll shut up. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Education Committee, this is going to be Isis Molden.
For the Education Committee, I'll just abridge the report. First, PUSD is participating in the annual School Attendance Month campaign. It's showing up for real matters. And it's about educating parents and faculty about the importance of showing up daily. And today I learned that chronic absenteeism starts with 18 days or more missed in school. And also the Education Committee is going to be hosting the PUSD Board Candidate Forum for Seats District and 2 on October 16th at the Altadena Community Center right here. And we'll also have a presentation on measures EE and R. And the Education Committee is also taking upon the responsibility of placing student internships throughout the Altadena Town Council as well as other local organizations. So if you have any positions open, feel free to reach out to the Education Committee. And we also have some opportunities posted in the back and online.
I did want to make a mention of thank you to Chair Arnzen of the Communication Committee for the inception of the intern program and for transitioning that over to the Education Committee. So I feel like it's in very good hands from a very good start. Thank you so much. Our Election Committee, Pat Sutherlen, Chair.
Yes, indeed. We're all aware, I hope, that the Town Council election is going to be on November the 9th, with early voting on November the 5th. The application packages will be available on the ATC website on Friday, this Friday, on September the 20th. That's altadenatowncouncil.org. It's got a separate tab there. All the information that you need for application is there. And the applications are due to be returned by 5 o'clock in the afternoon on October the 5th. I would mention just a couple of things for people who are considering, do I want to run for office or not? Sometimes people say, golly gee, the person who's on the council now has been there forever. I don't have a chance to win anyway. Forget it. If you're interested, you will learn a lot just by running. And I would also mention that it just happens to be that the last two people who joined the town council, not only did they not win when they ran for office, but they also had joined one of the committees that are available with the town council to earn more or to learn more about what actually a council member does. So don't worry about whether you can win or not, but if you think it's interesting, you might learn something just by running for office. I would mention for those who are going to be turning in applications, talking to council members as well as anyone who may be watching, please do not wait until the very last day as usually happens, because it would be very helpful to get your applications in as early as possible. I've been guilty before, I know, and it's hard, and it takes, all you can do to put the thing together, but the sooner you can turn it in, the better off it will be all the way around. And council members, and you know who you are here, don't forget to pick up your signs before you leave.
Don't forget to pick up your signs before you leave. And where are they? They're in our cubby? They're in the hallway now.
In the hallway.
Oh, great. Okay. Near the cubby. Great. Thank you so much. West San Gabriel Valley Area Plan, Chair Morona.
Hi, the West San Gabriel Valley Area Plan is a land use and zoning plan. Included in that is our area of Altadena. Altadena residents have mostly shown approval of the plan. However, we have seen a few who oppose. Many are excited for the land use designation to lessen the amount of homes closer to the mountains and limit building, while others are disappointed that they cannot subdivide their land. In listening to responses, there are only a few that are opposed and many who are for the plan. Therefore, if you would like to have your voice heard, coming up on September Wednesday the 25th at 9 a.m., there will be a hearing in which the Regional Planning Commission from LA County will present the plan as well as a summary of their final EIR. Should you attend, you will have an opportunity to testify, or you can submit written comments prior to the public hearing or at the public hearing. For more information, contact the LA County Regional Planning Commission, or if you simply Google WSGVAP, it will pop up, as that is quite an acronym. There's ways to either call in or testify in person or have written comments prior. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I will turn it over to Vice Chair Arnzen for public comment.
First of all, thank you for staying. If you have a public comment, Pat has your card. We'll bring you up. And we always do these near the end in case there's something during the evening that you wanted to comment on. When we did them earlier, people would be upset that they weren't able to comment at the end. You all have 2 minutes, and we will not respond to public comment, but we will definitely make sure the appropriate council member returns if you so wanted. Pat?
We have 3 comment cards. First one will be Karen Gibson, then we'll go to Tom Riley, and then to David Skabinski. So, Karen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen Gibson. I'm here on behalf of Neighbors Building a Better Altadena, and I would like to announce that the Library Board Trustees Candidate Forum will be a week from tomorrow. That's September 25th, just like everything else that's happening. This one's from 6 to 7:45 in the evening. It'll be at the library, and it gives people a chance to meet the candidates that are running in the contested areas of 2 and 5. And we just want to point out that since the libraries have become such important hubs for information and for social connection in our community, there's lots to talk about. So we should talk with the candidates, see what they're thinking. So I hope you can come to that and at least promote it within your constituencies. We'll be participating with the Pasadena Unified Candidate Forum as well, and Pat, I'll be in touch with you about Altadena Town Council Candidate Forum as well, as you've all been through. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Tom, yeah, there he is.
There I am. Just a couple comments on the item that Julian presented earlier. I've been working with Julian and some of the other traffic folks. I want to express my appreciation. Shirley Lai on the bike master plan, Daniel Quintana, Lee, who is still here, thank you. I appreciate that they've really given serious consideration to requests made on behalf of the bicycling community over the past year or so on various things, on the bike master plan, on Mariposa, and on the Altadena and Washington repaving project. So I appreciated pass on to him the comprehensive aspect of all the different things he's working on. And some of the things are finally coming to fruition that we've been talking about for a couple of years. During our ongoing dialogue, which has included some residents and pedestrians and cycling community members from both Altadena and Pasadena, we have been reassured that the county appears to be holding true to its promise that was made over a year ago by Steve Berger to make sure that improvements made in the intersections or at curb extensions, bulbs out, those types of things, will consider future or even existing bicycle facilities. These would occur on New York Avenue and on Altadena Drive. We just appreciate them looking at that and making sure that cyclists aren't pinched out of those intersections. So we'll continue to look forward to working with the county on that. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
I'm here for the 4th month in a row, as I promised I would be. I've managed my travel schedule to do this, actually, to voice my strong objection to the Polytechnic School project. And I think I would actually ask this board to consider, I know it's rhetorical for now, this should be a board item every month. This is the greatest threat to our community in a long time, and it is the largest project since the Lavinia project, and far more controversial for our community. I think that we should also, I wanted to mention that next week on the 24th, the Altadena Coalition of Neighborhood Associations is hosting a session where they're going to have someone from the county talk about the review process, which I think is great. I know I will submit, and I would ask you as a group to submit to Mr. Garcia to include in the study of traffic at those 2 intersections on Lake Avenue, the proposed project not only during construction, but once that thing if that thing ever went live, the traffic up and down Lake Avenue, and I live half a block off of it, is going to be awful. The traffic on Lake's hard as it is. Going off of Palm Street onto Lake Avenue, I can tell you, I live there. It's going to get a lot worse when all those SUVs are going up and down Lake Avenue, getting up there. So I just wanted to mention that again and ask that we can take any appropriate action to stop this thing. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the end of public comment.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody for staying so late. We are going to hopefully not have this kind of meeting next month. We're going to breeze through our census tract reports. 4601, Councilmember Chipola.
Breezing through, I want to let everyone know the residents have voted for a replacement plaque on the Mount Low median. Public Works and the Supervisor's Office are working on it, and installation is TBD. Also, you've heard it a few times tonight, the safety concerns I want to spotlight on Altadena Drive around the Henniger trailhead. We are going to continue to work with the CHP, Public Works, to ensure that safety is ensured during the construction project as it goes forward. Also, I wanted to highlight what Diane brought up earlier and say thank you to Chuck Vosica, the project manager for this Public Works project, and the inclusion of the Pasadena part and the lobbying that Victoria, Diane, myself, and others have done to get the inclusion of that roadway from Pasadena in that project. So thank you.
Thank you. 4610.
The report for 4610 is I'd first like to give a shout out and a huge thank you to Councilmember Emerita Veronica Jones, who worked on getting the amazing U.S. flags down Lincoln Avenue. So if you haven't seen it, please drive down Lincoln Avenue. It just makes the street so beautiful. She'd been working on it for the past 2 years, and it's so great to see that come to fruition. And also, the streets around Jackson Elementary, there are new proposed no parking restrictions, and flyers will be going out to those residents affected. You have until October 31st to give your feedback and a response.
Great, thank you so much. And a shout out to Public Works for the flags, for coming through on those flags. And we've got 460301.
Thank you. Just a report during our extreme heat wave and some work that SCE has been trying to do in the Cheney Trail area, namely the Wapello Circuit, to do some grid hardening. That work is being rescheduled, and a lot of concern was going on, as I sort of explained earlier, about whether or not the Cheney Gate should stay open or closed with a combination of extreme fire and wildfire. So the goal will be that we work together with the community and to connect with our agencies to come up with some form of fire resilience along that Cheney Trail roadway, which right now is also in really poor condition, so much so we've had a head-on collision just recently, and last year we had 2 cars go off of the Cheney Trail Road, dropping 100 feet down, and we don't have much control at all right now with the amount of people going up to enjoy the waterfall and public safety. So this is, in essence, in my humble opinion, a public safety emergency that we have to get some protocols in place. And that also includes how it affects the Meadows community related to parking and fire lanes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, council members, we did it. 9:29. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
To dismiss.
Second.
And adjourn.
Okay, 2 things. We're adjourned in honor of Veronica Jones. Tables have to go down. Chairs can just be moved to here. And don't forget, they'll do the microphones, yeah. And then don't forget your signs for census tracts for the election. They're in the hallway on our way to our QB. Thank you, Pasadena media. Sorry.
There you go, I'm going this way.